What's up, you guys? Today's animated series review is about a group of heroes who were gathered together to protect their world from an evil villain while understanding their own past, powers, and secrets, and I'm talking about Ultraforce. Ultraforce, the animated series, aired in 1995, containing one season with a total of 13 episodes. The series begins with a flashback of some giant mechanical monster attacking these unknown group of heroes until our main protagonist wakes up from his nightmare. When seeing that the military's missile base is under attack, he quickly heads over there to prevent such invasion until coming across two more heroes. Despite arguing seeing how none of them know what teamwork is and getting their asses kicked, they quickly get teleported and meet a lady on a hover chair who states she wants to create a group of heroes also known as Ultras called Ultraforce. She continues by saying there's many Ultras out there and it's her job to find, protect, and initiate them to the group. Although one of them dwelled on his past, indicating that he's lost comrades before and doesn't want to join, eventually they all learn the meaning of teamwork and join the group. So within the Ultraforce you have Contrary, a psychic who rides on a hover chair who is also the supervisor to the team, Hardcase, a movie star who's also the leader, Prime, a 13-year-old boy who transforms into the strongest member, Prototype, a young adult who dons armor created by a company called Ultratech, Ghoul, a decomposed corpse who can see the past by touching objects, Pixx, a techno-whiz girl, Topaz, the queen of an all-woman realm called Gwendor, and Nightman, who plays a saxophone in a jazz band. And then you have some other allies who join later on who are called the Strangers like Grenade, Zip Zap, Electrocute, Spectral, and Atom Bomb. Then you have members from the Squad who are considered the first group of Ultras and are only shown throughout flashbacks like Starburst, Forza, and DJ Blast. Last but not least, you have an unknown Ultra named Fire Kid who's just one of many but not associated to any group. As for the villains, you don't really have a main villain because each episode either has one and then repeats them for a few episodes, or they simply disappear after one episode like Adalon, the king of the fire people, NME, a robot that stands for a nanotech mechanical entity, Lord Pumpkin, a sorcerer, Rune, a vampire, Dr. Vincent Gross, a scientist who created some Ultras, Boneyard, a powerful android, and Colonel Aaron Samuels, the military leader who despises the Ultras. And then you have some other sideline villains like King Abazel, Gazma, Sludge, Headknocker, Chrysalis, Dewey, General Raider, the Aladdin Military, Luther Silk, Mosh, Rita, Pistol, Cyborg Dogs, these random ooze-type monsters, and Primeval with dragon minions. Throughout the show, Contrary's goal is to have the Ultras work together as they constantly argue with each other and sometimes even get physical because not everyone sees eye to eye with each other's methods. Not to mention, since there's many Ultras throughout the world who are not accepted by the human race, seeing how the Aladdin military or villains are stealing powers for personal gain, she feels like it's her duty to save, recruit, and protect them the best she can. Depending on the villain, episodes usually conclude with a to be continued, leaving each of the main villain to have at least 2 or 3 episodes of airtime. For example, Adalon's storyline, which takes place within 3 episodes involving him stealing military missiles so he can conquer the world and get revenge on the surface people for what they did to his ancestors. Then you have Lord Pumpkin, who throughout 3 episodes tries to have people get addicted to his enhanced body drug called Zook Pods, as he distributes them throughout the city as well as brainwashing people by turning them into pumpkin heads thanks to a kid named Mosh who has a hypnotic guitar. Then you have Rune, who feeds off of Prime's energy so he constantly chases them until teaming up with Dr. Vincent Gross, until they get their asses kicked. Although all 4 villains were oddly given enough screen time, each were somewhat finished off for good. As Adalon was sent to the depths, Lord Pumpkin loses the candle flame within his head, Rune turns to dust, and Dr. Vincent turns into a plasma monster. The last 2 episodes, which concludes the series, focuses on the villain Boneyard, who uses an entity to trap Hardcase and the Strangers to come to the moon as they want to know the reasons they were chosen for their powers. Meanwhile, Contrary and the rest try to stop them, seeing how they were manipulated under Boneyard's control. Upon arriving, a huge battle takes place, giving us some action between the Ultras. Prime gets a new costume who battles Primeval, and the Strangers fight the dragon minions. Contrary, on the other hand, realizes the entity holds knowledge on the universe and tries to download its information within the computer of her ship until it gets damaged. Although the Ultras managed to defeat Boneyard and everyone being released from his mind control, Contrary assumes she lost the world's greatest secrets until Prototype managed to surprise her by downloading half of it through the memory within his armor. Thus, when returning to Earth, the Ultras plus the Strangers all become heroes, gaining acceptance from the citizens and the army. One of the things I did enjoy about the show is a storyline involving characters that were once evil but by the end had a change of heart. For example, the character Sludge, who even though looks menacing but is actually harmless because he was once a former cop, befriends Prototype and helps him defeat Lord Pumpkin by sacrificing himself in the growing vines of Zook Pods. Even though it's assumed that he's dead, however, it still feels unclear whether he really survived or not. Then you have Gasma, who after learning the motives of Adelon, even she decides to help the Ultras from preventing the evil army from conquering the world, especially when seeing Pixx had sacrificed herself in order to save the Ultras from radiation, and because of this situation, the outcome of her storyline was quite shocking when we actually get to see her bravery lead her to her death, thus being the first character to actually die in the cartoon. And speaking of emotional farewells, there's also a storyline involving Hardcase when he gets into a predicament with this bimbo named Veal, whom he develops feelings for despite being possessed. Although it was later hinted that he was in a relationship with former colleague Starburst, a character that he traumatized over in his flashback during the first episode when they fought the enemy, he basically decides that he can no longer wait for her to recover and breaks up with her by leaving his old group, the Squad, which even though being unconscious puts her into tears. Now that's messed up. Regardless of this, there's also some family themes going on with some characters as we learn why Prototype decided to accept his manager Leland's proposal for wearing the suit. Then you have Prime, for when he's transformed back to Kevin, often fails to be understood by his mom, who dreads of losing connection with him as he's growing older. Even though they do spend time together trying to bond, not much is explained that maybe his father knows he's a superhero or a lab experiment created by Mr. Gross, hence why after the first episode is never seen again. And last, Hardcase is the only character that knows he's actually a 13-year-old boy, whereas everyone else thinks he's a grown man with a childlike ego, thus making their friendship like a parent-son or sibling type feel. Either way, as interesting as these heroes are, you can never have too many, but one of the things I wish they did continue is a storyline with Colonel Samuels, because he was always against the Ultras but was never given a proper story to really show his hatred, especially since at the end of one episode, he wanted to work with Mr. Gross to put an end to the Ultras. This show is all over the place with really no consistent storyline, villains, or character development. It's really unfortunate that a lot of other characters only appear once, get killed off, or even have little to no contribution to the team. Although a lot of Ultras are very reminiscent to Marvel and DC characters, their constant need to yell out "let's force it" is probably one of the laziest catchphrases I heard, as well as a theme song that just repeats the word Ultraforce 30 times. Despite all this, the action is good, the series had potential, and the emotion/inner turmoil between characters actually helps redeem its name regardless of getting negative reviews. I believe it's a decent watch, but if you're expecting it to make sense, don't count on it. But either way, it's enjoyable for the most part. Therefore, Ultraforce the Animated Series gets a B-. Thanks for watching, give a like and subscribe for more animated series reviews, and stay tuned for the next episode.